All right, music fans, welcome back. It is Dave. It is the Real Music Observer, observing real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. 2018 was the year of Steve Perry, at least in the sense that he released an album, and some of us had given up on him releasing an album. Some of us kind of knew, but weren't sure when that album would drop. I really only got confirmation the album would drop probably, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before when I had been told that there are some major rumblings about this now, and this isn't just speculation. And that was from a fairly good source who is more or less an insider and knows a lot of people in the business. I had heard the prior summer that the album was a masterpiece, but it was Steve Perry in 2018, meaning he was going to sound a little different, and the album wasn't going to be a full blown rock and roll album, which they were correct about that. Uh, Steve Perry, I think, even though there's a great narrative about his relationship with Kelly and how Kelly was telling him, hey, promise me you won't go back into seclusion and so forth. And I think Perry fulfilled his promise, but I really don't think Steve Perry has a desire, to answer questions about what happened in Journey, 30 years ago, or, why he left again, or why he recorded with Journey again, or why he came out with For the Love of Strange Medicine. I don't think he wants to answer those questions anymore. I think he's content with what he's done. I think he likes his finished product. I think he understands that the music business has changed radically, so much so that a guy of his stature really didn't get much airplay on terrestrial radio. And it's mind boggling. I mean, maybe he could get one of these songs in a movie. He's got friends in Hollywood. Maybe he can lobby somebody there to put one of his songs in a movie. That seems to be a pretty good method to get the song played. But it's just sad. I just lament the fact that a guy with this much talent, even at this stage of his career, and yes, his voice has changed, but there's still enough of it there where if you hear it on the radio, it's instant. You know who it is. And not too many people have that kind of legacy or gravitas where they can just show up and sing a little bit, and it's so recognizable. Steve Perry is a one of a kind. So it's perplexing, but so much time has passed, and that's really the theme of what I'm trying to say. Who do I blame? Well, Perry obviously had a lot of starts and stops. For the Love of Strange Medicine, Trial by Fire, they were all starts and then stops, and then even in the VH1 documentary, he talked about he was looking forward to touring and possibly recording new music and so forth. And people waited nearly, a generation for him to come back. And I think that is where the issue is. It's unprecedented for somebody to go away for that long and then to come back with an album. Very few bands are able to generate any interest at that point, just hardcore fans. And I think with the audience that I have, or at least I used to have, I'll say that, a lot of us were kind of in a bubble thinking that this was going to be, bigger than the Rolling Stones, bigger than anything when it came out. And when we didn't see it going number one on Billboard, which it did get into the Billboard top 10 briefly, but then immediately fell back out. When it didn't do that, it crushed a lot of just the perception that I had had prior to that. And then I just realized and made the assumption that the music business has changed too much, and way too much time has elapsed for this thing to be the juggernaut that it should be. You can shake the radio programming business all you want. You can grab somebody by the lapel and say, hey, this is Steve Perry. And some of them in the control room are going to say, who? Oh yeah, yeah, we play Oh Sherry. Oh yeah, yeah, we play that Foolish Heart song every so often. Um, it's all been focus tested, and um, a lot of this stuff that's on the radio now, it's just they keep paring down playlists because somebody they know when you're tuning the radio out. They literally know when somebody in their car is changing the station. That's how sophisticated this is now. And they weren't willing to take a chance on the voice, which shows me that the business has just changed too much, and that those of us who had preconceived notions about this, we need to kind of like step back and just deal with reality. The hardcore fans of Perry, on the other end of the spectrum, the people that think that Steve Perry can do no wrong and every note is perfect and so forth. Um, I don't agree with that. I think Steve Perry is immortal. I think he's like everybody else in the world. I think Traces has some very good tracks on it and a few songs that I don't care for. It's just how it is, and I think that also affected things. But the time away, and I think the lack of what I consider a favorable music environment to put I mean, it happened to a bunch of other artists that I have been railing about. The guy from the outfield, Tony Lewis. I'm just shaking my head why that song isn't on a good adult contemporary station right now because it's such a great, fun throwback of a song. But part of it is tastes have changed. Part of it is the music technology. I mean, Perry recorded this album with an old school West Coast vibe to it. And that stuff isn't on the radio anymore. It as a new song, new artists don't create that way. They create with layers of synthesizers and voice correction software and whatever else it augments the sound of it, and it doesn't even to me sound like music at all. Just sounds like electronic noise that's arranged in a way that is, I guess, appealing to a bunch of people today, but it's really depressing to me. So, in any event, I'm hoping Perry hasn't gone completely away. I'm hoping he'll at least do one spectacular concert event somewhere just to thank the fans, because he did this, I believe, because the fans wanted him to, and I think he thought he probably owed people. I know he owed, he promised Kelly and so forth, but he walked away in 1987 and then came back and left and so forth, and I think he probably was maybe feeling a little remorseful that there wasn't closure. I think Traces is closure, and I think that's probably why it might be his last recording. Supposedly there are songs, and yes, he did release a Christmas song, but I mean, as far as new Steve Perry material, I don't know. You might have to wait another 24 years. I just don't know. Who knows? In any event, that's it. I'm done with this one. See you soon.